Good day, folks. Today I'm going to take apart and clean this vintage American Waltham pocket watch from the 1800s. It's in beautiful condition. I had made a balance staff for it initially, and I screwed up and made it a little bit too short, so the pivots were too short, caused me issues. It wouldn't work. It would work face down, but it wouldn't work face up, which means the top pivot was not working properly. Then I made another balance staff, and I had a video for that, and I actually adjusted the balance staff using my lathe, and I was trying to use my J-Cot tool to adjust it, but I really needed to put it back in the lathe, so I took it all apart, left the balance on it, and I took the roller table off again, adjusted the pivot, took it down a bit, and that's in a previous video, and that seemed to work. But the problem with this pocket watch now is that I haven't wound it up this morning, but the amplitude is pretty pissy, and because of the poor amplitude, then regulating it is almost impossible. So I need to get this thing, well, right now it's almost completely unwound because I want to work on it today, so I don't want to have to wind it back up again. But the amplitude was running around probably 110, 120 or something, kind of a 90 to 100 degree, maybe, or 90 to 120 degree swing actually. So, because I think the amplitude is a little higher than that. But anyway, so it is running slow, and I can't speed it up because it needs to be cleaned. I'm hoping when I clean it, it's never been cleaned, that this will help with the amplitude issue. And again, I haven't wound it up, so it's kind of just trucking along here like it's a 9-year-old in a retirement home walking. Anyway, I think I bugged my dad about that once. I told him he needs to take bigger steps. Bigger steps, he said. He has to shuffle so that he keeps up with all the people that are in wheelchairs and stuff. So that's otherwise he'll walk too fast. So of course, before that, I'm going to show you a card trick. So because you need to be completely entertained. There we go. That's how you flip a deck with one hand there, like that, right? And then you shuffle a deck. You can cut the deck like that, and you cut the deck like this here. And then see if I can do this without screwing up. You split the deck with one hand, you weave the cards, and then you can one-hand card shuffle. A lot of people know how to do that. You can show the 5 of whatever spades on the top of that deck, right? And then you can deal that 5 down like this, like that. Have a look at that card, and what? It's not the 5. 5's still on top. So anyway, learning how to cheat at cards. So this is your COVID-19 entertainment. This is an old deck too. This is like a really old deck, so it doesn't spread that well, but it's good enough for now. People say pick a card, any card, and then you spread the cards like that, but very secretively you want them to take this card here, right? So you do that. It's very funny actually. Take a card, any card, and you do that. So, and you're pretty obvious what I'm doing there. I'm not going to show you that, but let's cut the deck here. Let's do a over the top cut. Look at that. There we go. That's another way of cutting it. Or you can just do that and cut the deck like this. There we go. Another one-hand cut. I love one-hand cuts. So pick a card, any card. I think I'll take that one. That's the card. That is the card for me, as they say, right? So that is the 7 of clubs, right? Throw that on top of the deck. Bam. It's on the top of the deck. And then cut the deck. You swivel cut the deck like that, right? And then push this card out to the front. And then tap it down, and then throw the card back into the deck, and then throw this whole thing inside like this. Then you weave your hand over and do the magic weave. Tap on it once like that, and you turn the card over, and it's on the top still. Isn't that amazing? That is an amazing trick. So that's your card magic to start off with the watch repair video. So shouldn't leave too much empty space here. You gotta have action happening all the time when you're doing videos, so the audience doesn't get bored. I don't think they're bored. Either exercise or whatever. So anyway, so what I have is I got this watch, as I explained earlier, and it's got a crappy amplitude. I was setting the time on these other watches that I have. I believe I made the balance staff for this watch, and it's a Hamilton. It's a beautiful Hamilton watch, actually. And let me just clean this little jobby-do out. I found this, can't remember where I got this from, but it's kind of it's a sucker, vacuum watch opener, it says. It even tells you what it is. I didn't even know that. And all you do is go suck on the back like this, and kind of sucks to the back of the watch like that, and then you turn this, and it can pretty much open any watch back, this thing. It's pretty incredible, actually. So this thing is running exceptionally well. And it is a Lancaster. It's 17 joules, but pretty high end. It's got a jewel in the center wheel there, which is kind of cool. Nice decoration on it. It's a gold case. It's our gold filled case. It had one little dent in it that I couldn't get rid of. No matter what I did, I tried to flatten that out a bit. Maybe I'll work on it again. But anyway, couldn't get rid of the dent. I was a little bit upset about that, but it doesn't take much to upset me. On the other side, it's like a physical dent on it, so it's hard to get rid of. So this watch, I've been playing with this regulator here, and over the last 2 weeks, I've got it down to probably 5 seconds a week, maybe. So, because I wind it in the morning and I check the time with a program on the internet called Time Is, and it's absolute time, and or atomic time clock, or whatever you want to call it. I also have a watch that I can use, a Blue Angels, Citizen Blue Angels watch that kind of regulates its time with a time code coming out of Dayton, Ohio. Anyway, so this watch is a gorgeous Hamilton, and it's bang on the money. And then I did some work on this Hamilton too as well. And this Hamilton is a pretty high-end watch. Let me just turn this over. So this one is a railroad grade pocket watch. No kidding, right? So this is a flip over case. So when you do that, you actually have to, I turn this back a bit, so I don't have so much problems. Kind of, you got to take the push up on the crown, and there we go. Move that stem out of the way, and then be very careful flipping this up, because I've done this before, and sometimes you slip a bit, so just don't put too much pressure on it when you're doing this. And there we go. And then I can flip this over just to show you the movement. So, because it's a gorgeous watch, right? Come on, there we go. Open that baby up. You got to remember to do that. So this watch here, have a look at that. Have a look at that. That is a gorgeous watch movement. To make sure my zooming and stuff is right here. Eh? I'm going to go up close to show you, because it's just that good looking a movement that I want to show you what it looks like up close. My focus right now is 15, so let's bring that focus up so I can show you what this movement looks like. There it is there. And theoretically, the center wheel actually has gold spokes in the center wheel. So those are gold spokes. This is a gorgeous watch, 21 jewel, adjusted to 5 position. Anyway, I've cleaned this completely. I repaired it. This is the one where I made the 3rd wheel on it. I actually made the pivot on the 3rd wheel, where I made a video to show how I couldn't drill through the shaft there to repivot it. So I actually made a pivot that fit over the shaft, and it worked perfectly, and it's running right now. So it's in there in the back there. I don't know. I don't think you can see it, but that's my own shaft that I made, which is kind of cool. And it took a lot of work and a lot of fitting and that sort of thing, but this is a beautiful watch. And so what I did with this as well is as I worked on this, I moved that down. See what my zoom is here. I don't want my videos to not be zoomed properly, so 17, 15, 12, something in there, right? That gives you a proper distance here. Anyway, so again, over the weeks, I worked on this watch and got it down probably as close as the other Hamilton, where effectively I check it in the morning and it's off maybe by a second, no more than that. Just put this back very carefully. When you close these flip over cases, don't touch the dial on this. Just take your fingernail or whatever and push it on the edge like that, so it pushes down. like so, and then try to keep your hands away from the dials and stuff like this. That's the flip out. This is the lever set, so it's a flip out lever on that, and then just put this in. The case is not in exceptional condition, but it's usable. So, and of course, I'm gonna have problems putting it on while people are watching, right? This is what always happens. Never have problems putting it on when no one's watching. But this case has got a little bit of a wear on it, so it's, I don't want to play with it. It's kind of vintage looking, and in 2 seconds I'm putting this aside. You all have had the issue of not being able to put the watch, there we go, I think it's on now. This one is weird because it's sort of, you think it's in there, and then, oh look, it's got some extra turn on it. So there we go, that's in there now. So that's the Hamilton, and that's running just as well as the other Hamilton I have here. And then I got this baby here, which is just a beauty. So this is an Elgin pocket watch. This is 1886. I put a new crown on it because the crown was really shitty. And this is also a railroad grade watch. I think the case is silveroid, so it's not a high-end case at all, but the movement is just really good. And this thing here is like a couple seconds a week maybe. So the amount of the accuracy on this is incredible. So now what I did there is I got it as close as I could using my software in all positions, and then every day I'd look and see where it was and how many seconds it was behind, and I just ever so slightly tweaked the wheel on this to move the lever here left or right depending on whether it was running fast and slow. And actually haven't had to tweak the wheel here in like a week. I just wind it every morning and it's running. It's bang on the money, and it's a gorgeous watch. It's got the jewel settings are gold, and it's 21 jewels. It's a BW Raymond, and it is a railroad grade. And if you don't believe me, you can look up the serial number on this baby. I actually have another video on it, so just watch the video on that. And I think it may be a cleaning video or something, but I can't remember actually if I had to make the balance staff for this one. Maybe not, don't remember. So anyways, beautiful watch. I know I had to re-crown this, so, and I made a video on that too, because I think making videos is kind of, it's a good thing. I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to people, obviously, and I enjoy sharing the challenges and problems I've had with repairing pocket watches and stuff. So, and I've done a few watch videos too, but mainly pocket watches. I do have a lot of watches that I've repaired or replaced movements or done something. The watch I'm gonna have fun putting the back on again, right? No, this is okay. This one seems to be working a bit better. So there we go, snugged in there. Hunter style, right? Sideways. Beautiful Elgin pocket watch. And I put an old chain on it here. Although I got a really nice old, this chain here, get rid of that. That's for shorting out a quartz watch. This is a beautiful old chain. This came with one of the watches I got. It might have come with the old Elgin here that's sitting here, but there's the chain there. And I was watching the TV show on Netflix called Hell on Wheels, and they're all wearing pocket watches in that movie. It's kind of cool. I'm thinking, hey, look at that watch chain. And I know I've looked at some of the pocket watches they have on that show, and they're not vintage pocket watches, some of them. They're just crappy old quartz ones or whatever. But this is a really nice chain. It is gold, so, or gold filled, I guess. And this is vintage. This is 18. I think it came with this heavy glass old Elgin from the 1800s pocket watch that I have here, right? So that's the watch chain I got. So that's pretty cool. And last but not least, I should get this off my desk. So this is an AMD. This is a micro device, 386 processor chip. 386 processor chip for if you're old enough. Then, oh, look at that, a 486 processor chip. And then if you look at this and turn it around and Google that number that's on there, let me see, hold that steady. Philippines, it's whatever, SY022. That is a Pentium chip, right, with all the pins. needed. And then, oh, look at this, a Pentium 3 processor. And the computer I'm running right now, that's over there, that's a massive computer with 7 fans in it. It can have anything less than 7 fans is not a computer. So it just like politicians, it blows a lot of hot air. This computer, a lot of hot air. So those are chips that I kept from some of the computers I had way back, and I had to get rid of the computers, but I remembered all the work I had done on those computers when I was younger, and I was like, geez, man, I got to keep this. So, and just to keep in the same momentum here, look at this. This is a Western Digital purple hard drive, and the current computer I'm running was in RAID 1, I think, configuration, and one of the drives went poopy, so I ordered another drive. Came on Amazon, 2 terabyte RAID drive, all good. And just in case you get bored with watch repair, I also ordered a 5 terabyte backup drive. So this is Seagate 5 terabyte backup drive. Bought some software and backed up my whole computer just in case when I replace the RAID drive, everything goes screwy. So enough about that. This is like Entertainment Central. Entertainment Central. So this is a Seiko, a vintage Seiko watch diving watch that I got from years ago. I got this in Canada. I live in Canada, but I got it in university. I was in engineering, and my buddies and I went to the jewelry store on campus, and I saw this thing, and I said, oh, I got to get this because I do scuba dive. And I bought it, and it's from 1980, and the movement in there needed some work, so I stripped it down and cleaned it up and got it going really well again, and wore it last night actually. And this is a what is it, 7S26 movement, and it's not winding and hacking, it's old style, so you just gotta pretend you're gambling and you're doing the dice here, and that's how you wind it. So it works really well. And I went to Strap Code, which is a really good company. If you want to buy very good straps, go to Strap Code. I recommend it. And bought a strap for this kind of cushion movement, turtle cushion, whatever they're called, movement. I also polished all the scratches out of it, and the only thing I'm leaving alone is this is pretty loose. It goes both ways and it's loose. And back in the day, this went both ways. It never went just one way. It wasn't unidirectional like dive watches do. And as you've seen in some of my other videos, I have videos on my watches. I got a lot of watches as well. I left this loose because my current 33-year-old kid, that just tells you how old I am, he used to sit on the couch and play with it. My other kids never did this, but he'd sit next to me and do this, like sitting and watching TV or something like that. And after a while, it completely wore out. The ball in there is worn out or something, right? But from memorabilia-wise, I said, no, I'm not going to change it. This reminds me of my son, and he's still with us, by the way. I sounded like didn't sound good. It reminds me of my son. He actually only lives 5 miles from me right now. I said miles, but I'm Canadian, so I was going to say kilometers, but I'm not sure if any of the Americans out there know what a kilometer is. Just kidding. I am just kidding. That was a joke, okay? Ha ha, frickin' ha. So anyway, so let's start with this watch here. Not sure if I should break the video and think of what I'm going to do, but what I want to do is disassemble this watch and then reassemble it and see if I can get it working any better. Now it's working right now, so the risk here is when I disassemble it, put it back together, it no longer works. But I am willing and able, I'm willing to take that risk, ladies and gentlemen. So as you know, to take the hands off the watch, I don't know if I should go through all this over again, but I line the watch up to 12 o'clock and I get my piece of paper or plastic or whatever to remove the hands. I should have organized myself a bit better. Let me move the watch so you're entertained again. So I usually get this out, and I don't know, whenever I do a video, I'm always talking like I usually do this and I'm gonna do that, and I say gonna, which I should say I am going to, so I can articulate properly. And if you use software for voice-to-text recognition, and you say gonna, it ain't gonna write the right stuff there. Gonna. Somebody thought I was from Newfoundland. I got a video or a response to one of my videos, and they said, "Are you from Newfoundland?" Well, so I have a joke. So this Newfie, I'll just do this watch stuff while I'm telling the joke, right? So this Newfie, he was going to go to Spain. So he goes to his buddy, and everybody in Newfoundland is called Buddy. Anyway, he goes to his buddy, and he says, "I want to go to Spain." And his buddy, he says to his buddy, "I'm going to Spain." And he says, "Boy to Jesus," he goes, "I doesn't speak Spanish, so what should I do?" And his buddy says, "Well, Jesus, it's easy. All you got to do, right, is all you got to do is speak really slowly." And he goes, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "Just speak really slowly." So he says, "Okay." So he gets in a boat. He goes over to Spain. He goes to in a city in Madrid, and he goes into a bar, and he goes up to the bartender, and he says, "Hey, can I have a beer, please?" Then the bartender looks at him, and he says, "Sure." And then the bartender says to him, "Here's your beer." And then the Newfie says, "Thank you." And then the bartender says, "You're welcome." I don't want to do this and screw this pivot up because it's moving, and I'm going to take it off while it's moving. This is not a good idea. There we go. He says, "Thank you." And then the bartender says, "Are you from Newfoundland?" And then the Newfie says, "Yes." "Are you from Newfoundland too?" And then the bartender says, "Yes." And then the bartender says, "Well, why are we both speaking Spanish?" You know, I've been watching Stephen Colbert, and I've been watching some of the guys that are trying to keep their shows going, right, on YouTube. And this looks like it's not going to work. And it looks to me, they're trying to keep the audience going here. And it looks like they're having a friggin' hard time, right? I don't think this is going to work. I'm going to go get my hand pullers out and see if they work. So just hang on a second. So this is a really interesting hand puller that I've never actually used before. So I think it's a hand puller. So I'm going to see if that works. So you just twist this here, and it just adjusts the openness of the bottom, and then you push down on this. And I'm assuming that pushing down in this pulls up on that. So this is pushing in the center of the center wheel. So I'm going to slide this underneath like so. Let me just open this up some more and slide it down. And I don't know if this will work or not, but if I do that and then push down on this, is this going to release the hands or just break everything? Look at that. Holy shit, this works nicely. There are the hands. So that was like ridiculous successful. That was easy as hell. So sorry about all the excitement and the swearing. But all I did was just take this jobby-do here and move it to the right size, like that. And then when you push on this down like that, this is like a cone, eh? So when you turn this, these little plier ends here, these little ends here just tighten some more or loosen right to the right size. They conform to the right size. And then you just push on this, and by pushing down on this, it pushes up on that, and you're actually just pushing right on the center wheel pivot, right, which is zero problem. So this is a gorgeous hand remover. Anyway, it works. It works. I'm going to put all this other stuff away. I had a whole bunch of other stuff I was going to use, but I don't need it. Don't need it. So the hands came out like perfect. These ones normally work no problem, bang, like that, but it was a little tight. I didn't want to crack the I didn't want to mar. Can I use the word mar? That's a big word for me, right? But I didn't want to crack or mar the whatever these things are called, the dial. So when I'm looking at the dial right now, I'm thinking, okay, let me just wipe this down with watchmaker's putty just a bit while I got it sitting here nicely. So And this dial is in really good condition for its age, right? So I'll get the hands removed. It's probably still ticking. I actually don't know how to relieve the stress on the mainspring yet, because I haven't taken the back off yet. So, but I'm going to take it off in a second. Let's turn this around. This mat, by the way, is nice and soft, so I'm not too worried. I don't need to put this in a holder yet. So the back, kind of, you got to lift up when you're taking the back off. Sometimes I wet my fingers and do that, but I recommend you sort of wipe down the watch after, polish it or something, because it will be pretty crappy. So first thing I want to do when I do this is remove the balance cock, because I don't want this balance to get fouled, because I worked so hard to make it work properly. So we just unscrew the screw here for the balance, and then I could zoom in a bit here and you can watch me working a little bit better, or leave it out. Too bad I can't get comments, live comments, eh? But again, like I've always said, move your stuff out of the way or it'll end up getting stuck to your arm and then you're screwed. And I know lifting this balance, I would normally put my screwdriver and wedge it, but I know from experience working a lot on this particular balance that I made the balance staff for this, that I'd rather put my tweezers in here like this and then lift up, well, putting pressure down as well so it doesn't snap on me. And then if I lift up straight like that, then the balance comes out, right? And I don't want any pressure, I don't want to distort the spring here, so I usually put this in my hand like so, and then I'll close my hand quickly, turn it over, and then I've got the balance just resting on its resting nicely, and I'll just put that over here. So I could put this in a container case or something, but it's just, I'm going to be doing this job all in one shot, so no need. Often I will collect things in here and or in here, but today is not often, so I'm not doing that. So I don't remember whether, I think I got to pull this, not sure whether this thing comes out or not. Okay, oh, look at that, it does. So snap that out and then just loosen the screws here. And again, you got to use the right size screwdrivers. Don't want to scratch the movement like I almost just did. And then I'm just turning these. These are tight as hell. So in this case here, to take the movement out here, you just have to turn it like that, and then it'll drop right out. There we go. And I'll just put this aside. And there's the movement. Looks like there's a little corrosion there. It's pretty good. It has a dust cover, so usually when they've got a dust cover, they're worth something. So this one's got a dust cover. I still have to figure out how to relieve the pressure from the mainspring, but what I'll do is just unscrew these case screws here because they are just sitting there, and I'm going to have to take them out anyway. So you back them off until you hear the little tick, and these are nice case screws. And I do put the case screws in the back of the case there. Just so I don't lose anything. And there's another tick. So remove those case screws like that. And just having a look at this thing like that. And then you want to take off the dust cover. So there's nothing special about taking off the dust cover. There's usually a groove like this one right here, and you just stick your screwdriver in that groove and then turn the screwdriver slightly. And then you want to do it over on the other end too. Oh, I just saw this little lever right here is the one used to actually loosen the power on the mainspring. So let me just zoom in a bit here. I'm zooming. So what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do. Jesus, I got to shut up and stop doing that. Get one of my bench keys out here, and I'm not taking the dust cover out yet. I'm just going to put the bench key and see if that works. Yeah, so that winds the watch. And when you do that, you'll see that this little lever here ticks like that. So when you look at the direction it's ticking, and then so what you want to do is move it the other way, and so put a little bit of pressure on the bench key, and then when you're like that, and then you just push it, and then you roll the bench key back. And what I normally do is just put a little bit of pressure in the back of my hand for the back end of the bench key, so I can roll the mainspring back like that and not have it just go bing, because if it bings, then you got another problem. So just make sure I've got all of the yeah, so it's completely loose now. So that's the technique, and it has a beautiful little lever here. Beautiful, tremendous, beautiful. Where have I heard those words before? Great, bestest, best, tremendous, most, bestest. So you just kind of put your screwdriver in here and then try to edge the dust cover up slowly, and then eventually the dust cover just comes off. I put that in there too. I'll try to get some of the corrosion off that after. And there we have the movement. There it is there. And I peek in there to have a look at what it looks like, and it's just a typical movement here. So we back this up just a bit so I can move my hands a bit more here. So I've got that out. Just oot. Next step is to remove the face, and I look for itsy bitsy screws in the side where I can, usually my yellow screwdriver will be the right size to move that, to loosen those itsy bitsy screws, and just turn them back a few times and leave them in place. Don't try to take those screws out, because you will lose those screws. So if you back them off like this, and then after you've removed the face of the watch, just tighten them up again, and it'll be pretty cool. There's also a little hole right here that you can see, and you can see if I have my needle somewhere. I usually have a needle somewhere. I don't know where the heck the needle is today. It's jumped. The needle has vacated. So I usually have a sewing needle around here. I don't know where I went. See, I cleaned up, and now I don't know where anything is. Never clean up. I'll see if I can use my smallest screwdriver here to get into this hole. But this, all this does is push up on the face, so you can push up on the face and not bend anything. But in this case here, I think I'll just go in the side with my screwdriver and twist it and see if I can get some face movement. There we go. And again, another tip is while you're taking the face off, you can use the skin on your finger, right, to hold the brake for the face. So, and it's a similar move that you use in card manipulation. So there's the face, there's the dial posts, and they're in excellent condition, and so is the face. I mean, this is amazing. This is a Waltham. Hope I didn't say Elgin earlier. I think I might have said Elgin, but anyway, this is American Waltham pocket watch from the 1800s. Beautiful pocket watch. Beautiful, beautiful. And I can tell it's got dirt and crap around there because I didn't clean it. I see a little corrosion in the corner there. I see problems, man. So take out that center wheel. That's the hour wheel here. And I'll just set this aside here. And if I can, I will take out the minute wheel as well. Sometimes, maybe I should remove the cannon pinion first. I like to take the minute wheel out before I remove the cannon pinion. So I have to find a place to put this watch down. I'm going to use my little sucker thing for a second, because I've got to go find a movement holder that's the right size for this, so I don't put stress on things. Stress. So let me see. Do I have a movement holder here? Oh, I got more pocket watch chains in here. More pocket watch chains. I saw this guy was on Facebook, and his friend passed away, I think, and he had like this amazing watch shop, and they had a jillion parts in there. And I was thinking, wow, wish I had enough. Wish I lived in England. I could buy this. So there's a lever for the lever set, and that's locking the lever set like that. And these are the wheels here. So sometime I'm very bad, but sometimes I just take this whole unit here and clean it with lighter fluid, but don't take it all apart. And The reason I have for that is that there's some springs in here that are being used for this that I can oil after all of the lighter fluid evaporates. I can re-oil that. But if I take some of this stuff apart and somehow screw up this spring here or this spring here, then or this one here, then I've got a whole other issue. And I know that the lighter fluid can get in there and clean these gears, and I know I can re-oil it. So if this were a watch that I was going to work on and sell for a lot of money, I would strip it down. So, but this is not a high value, even though it's old and kind of cool. It's not a high value watch, so I don't think I'm going to strip this part down when I clean it. It's not going to make any difference to the amplitude of the watch, by the way, because I will get to every jewel and make sure that all the jewels are pegged out and cleaned. And I'd have to take the Canon pinion off, which, if I was really lucky, it would just lift off. But let's see. Oh, look at that. So I don't even need my Canon pinion removing tool. It just lifts up, Jerry. It lifts up. It's amazing. Hopefully I'm in focus right now. I think I'll recheck my focus. Is that focused? Focus, focus, focus. Focus, focus. It's really hard to tell whether you're in focus, especially when you're blind. So anyway, let me look at the focus here again. Focus, get my camera control out, and then look at it while I'm focusing it. That's not focused. I think that's focused, sort of 15 or 12. I think I'll go with 12 for focusing. Yeah, I'll go with 12. Anyway, it's focused enough, I guess. Focused enough. I think when I zoom out, it's better. Anyway, you know how when I took the thing off and I said you got to hold the brake on that? So you do that in cards too. So when you got some playing cards here and you're trying to do some work here, and you may want to hold a pinky brake right under the first card like that. So you got a pinky brake happening under the first card like this. And there's all kinds of reasons for that, but the pinky brake is, you can see it from the back, but from the front you can't see that there's a pinky brake there. So it's very useful in doing certain card manipulation. So anyway, that's called a pinky brake. I'm not here to teach card magic, okay? Unless you guys put in a request, special request for card magic. There you go. So, but I do want to take out this minute wheel. So I want to see if I can approach it from an angle here. What I don't want to do is affect a gear here, or bend a post or something. I made another video where one of the posts here was bent, and I actually had to re-bend it back, and I had to make a wheel for this, or find a wheel and then make the new hole for it. And so sometimes you get into some pretty interesting repair work when you're working on pocket watches. Hey, this little suction cup is great for holding the movement. It's rubber, it's not hurting anything, and the movement seems to stay in place. It doesn't move anywhere. Uh-oh, I've got a new movement holder for size 18 pocket watches called the suction cup. So I want to take the bridge off the mainspring here and remove it. There's bridge off the mainspring, and then there's bridge over troubled water, which was a song by CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival, right? When I was a kid, I thought it was called Creedence Clearwatery Bible. So just like everybody making mistakes in songs, like this guy named Bruce Colburn, and he's a Canadian artist, and he's done Wonder Where the Lions Are and all kinds of other songs. And I'm just trying to edge my screwdriver under here to pop this plate off. And he made a song where he sings If I Had a Rocket Launcher, and a buddy of mine thought he was actually saying if I had a rocking lawn chair, which I thought was funny. There, that's off there. This looks like there's a bit of corrosion and stuff in there. Keep these parts together. So, but I know it wasn't if I had a rocking lawn chair. It was if I had a rocket lawn chair, some SOB would die. So I'm not going to try to keep these videos clean, so I'm not going to swear. I've said rats and stuff like that, but that doesn't count. I think I am going to take this apart and clean the mainspring, because it is probably pretty friggin' dirty after 150 years of being used, right? So now, looking in here to see if there's any tragic stuff happening, but there isn't. So I'm just hoping and praying. They say you should never hope in any work, right? Just do it. Didn't Yoda say that? Do not. There is no try. There is no try. It's try or train. Try or try not. Do or do not. Something like that. That's my Yoda. So some of the screws here are also used. Actually, they're used to hold the plate down as well. So when you put the bridge for the mainspring on, it also holds the plate down as well. So there you go. So, but this plate just sits nicely into these pegs. These watch screws have been on for a gajillion years. I don't know how much. I looked at the markings. Just of interest, when you look at the markings on the inside of the back of the watch, and you see numbers and stuff like that, it's not the date that you're looking at that the thing was cleaned. It is a number that is used by the watchmaker in the watchmaker's catalog, right? And that's the number that they just write the number down, the catalog number, and what they did with the watch. So it is not the date it was cleaned. So just wedging my screwdriver underneath these posts, and I gotta lift this up. But for this watch, there's you gotta move it sideways as well. So this little thing here, this baby here, that is the pallet fork, and it fits into the hole here, so you can't pull it straight up. I almost pulled it straight up because I'm so used to fixing different type watches. So, which would have been pretty tragic because I would have screwed it up. So I gotta go under my microscope. I'll pause and look at all these jewels to make sure I have no jewel issues. And when I clean the plate, and I'll also clean the pivots out for this. So, and what I do, I always say this, what I do is I usually take my iPhone and take a picture of this movement because I'm stupid. And when it comes to putting the movement back together, sometimes it goes from the escapement over, and you just take the stuff out one at a time. And then sometimes the escapement in this case is higher than the 1, 2, 3, 4th wheel. So the escapement's higher than the 4th wheel, so that doesn't work right. So I just watch what's gear up and what's gear down and all that crap. So this has to go in after you put in the center wheel, which goes in first, and this goes in second. So anyway, and you got to watch when you're disassembling this that this is the second hand wheel, which is the 4th wheel, and you got to watch you don't play with the pivot on the 4th wheel, because if that breaks, you're into another repivoting or something, right? I already took out the cannon pinion on this, so it just lifts straight up, and all this is goodly. So this is all nicely in place. So I'm going to send the bottom of this movement in for a swim. Like I said, I don't think I want to disassemble all this, although I could. I don't feel like it. So if I wash it really nicely with lighter fluid and then let it dry for a while, all of the lighter fluid would dissipate from that. I have a steel brush, or an abrasive brush too, I can use to clean little areas like that seem like they have some corrosion on it, so I can make this plate look very nice. So I'm going to pause and do some of that work. Alright, to clean this watch, a little container here. I use Zippo lighter fluid premium, and there's no what is it called, MSDS sheet on this thing. Anyway, the hazard sheet for this thing says that this is, if you breathe it in, not good, can cause lung issues or whatever, but that's if you're breathing it every day for a long time. I'm going to use a mask, so I'm using my COVID-19 mask I got that I haven't actually used yet, and I'm sure I don't have to clean it after using this because the lighter fluid 100% goes away. And I've got these gloves. I just need one for holding it so the lighter fluid doesn't get on my fingers and stuff. And you know, you're supposed to be, I'm using these gloves if I'm working on a very high-end watch movement. I'll put the gloves on both hands so I don't put fingerprints everywhere that'll end up causing corrosion. So I'm going to do some cleaning with this, and it's non-carcinogenic. It says there in the, if you Google this, you'll see that it's non-carcinogenic if you're breathing it in, because I was a bit concerned with that as well. So we're just going to take this in and put it in for a dive. So what I'm going to do is turn it this way, and I put my tweezers in there and then let it ride down at an angle so that the movement doesn't slam down. See that? So you just let it go down the slide like that, and then, like I said earlier, I'm not taking all that stuff apart too bad. I don't want to hear any comments about it, and I'm just going to pour the lighter fluid right on the top, and I'm going to use plenty of the lighter fluid. So I'm going to put that in there. That's going to be enough lighter fluid to kill a man. Enough lighter fluid to kill a man. I'm going to put my mask on here because I know that I don't want to breathe it in, regardless of what anybody's saying, because this stuff will make you dizzy. Now I'm going to sound all muffled. I'm going to sound muffled. I'll take the camera and give you the look of me after, so to see what I look like. Well, maybe I'll just tilt it up right now and you can have a look at how stupid I look. So there I am. So looking at the camera, JD, Air Force Ensemble. There we go. Look at that. There's my flip over for doing work, and I got my very colorful mask with a nice filter in there and everything. So let me point this down at the work again. So now that you see that I am human, and put my glove on. And yeah, this filter I have in here is working because it is difficult to breathe, but not so difficult that I'm going to pass out. So I'm going to get a brush out, right, and then brush this thing down. So, and I just brush it down with the lighter fluid, and all the grease comes off. It doesn't take long. After I'm finished using the lighter fluid to brush it and get all the grease out of the wheels and pinions and pivots and springs and everything else, I will let it evaporate. Well, I use Rodico to get rid of any little pieces of whatever, and then I will let it evaporate. Let me just ride this down like I said before. It's not going to go as smooth because it's a paintbrush, but anyway. I'll let this evaporate later on, and then I'll use Rodico to clean up the little particles, small particles. And then I re-oil it so that it's nice and smooth and all the surfaces are smooth and everything else. So yeah, I didn't want to take out all these springs because I am concerned because it's an old watch, and you've seen me before take apart the works, as they call it, and put it back together again. I really didn't want to do that. And like I said before, it doesn't affect at all the amplitude of the watch, but it does matter. So I guess if I was a good boy, I'd completely do it. You should see the dirt on the bottom of this little container. Maybe I'll talk more. I sound muffled. Bark, bark. Muffle, muffle. So I'm going to just keep working on this and clean it out a bit. And I'm going to check the jewels a little bit later and see what they look like. And I'm also going to work on the little corrosion in the corner here. There's just a bit of corrosion that I want to get rid of. But after 150 years of dirt, I don't think this thing has been cleaned for a long time. So, but I will make this thing look spanky. Spanky, it already looks better now, just with wiping down all the gears and stuff. And that should be good enough for government work. And we get a sheet of watchmaking paper here and just put this down. So this is the same sheet of watchmaker's paper I used to cut a shim earlier this week, or when I was making another video. So I cut the shim off of that and Just going to wipe this down really quickly before I throw it into the bath. And let me see, do I have any more jokes to tell? Can I tell another joke? I know the world's shortest joke. Two guys walk into a bar. Ow! That's pretty short. So you just clean around the jewels, tune in the jewels with the brush again, and I haven't grabbed the wheels yet, but just make sure everything is as clean as you can get it. And try to get all the grease away from it. And it cleans up pretty nicely though. The lighter fluid works so well. This mask is working really well too. I don't smell any lighter fluid at all, which is good. I guess if you don't smell it, it's not there. Is that true? Because lighter fluid, I think they add chemicals to it so that you can smell it, because it's a dangerous chemical and they don't want you smelling it or don't want you breathing it, so they add a chemical to it so that it causes it to smell, and therefore, and smelling it means that you know it's there, you're aware it's there, right? So I'm just going to get a toothpick out here, grab a toothpick, and that helps me when if I've shown you this before, I apologize, but it helps when I'm cleaning the wheels, that I put the toothpick in one of the spokes, and then I can lightly use the brush to clean the wheels. And then I'd move the toothpick from spoke to spoke, and then just attack the wheels that way, and one at a time. And then the wheels, I also use the pith wood on the wheels, and I also use Rodico as well. I use the Rodico first to go where the pinions are, to make sure that there's no leftover dirt or whatever in the gears, and that they're nice and clean. And I look at them very closely too to make sure I've done a good job cleaning them. And then I use the Rodico to clean stuff out, and then the pith wood to clean stuff out. So, and just make sure that they're clean. Sometimes there's enough corrosion in there, the Rodico won't take it off, and then you have to take a small screwdriver and just ride the small screwdriver in the leaf of the pinion, and that will get the dirt out. And then you use Rodico to get the sort of the fine particles out of that. And then you use the pith wood at the very end to just collect anything else and smooth out the overall metal or whatever. It's funny, talking and working and talking. I guess there's only one advantage of being a Canadian. So there's different types of Canadians. There's French Canadians. Those are Canadians that came here in 1400, maybe 1500. My family came here in 1661, I think. Was my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. That's 10 greats, I think. And then that was 1661. And he was a soldier and a farmer. And he was French. And he fought against the British in Boston, who would come down every now and then. So it took 6 weeks to get a boat across the Atlantic Ocean. So they'd be at war. The French and the English would be at war over in Europe. And then they'd get all pissed off at each other. And they'd send a boat from Europe, England or France, down to Canada, which wasn't called Canada back then. And they would basically, if it was the English, they'd come down and say, guess what, we're at war with the French. And then the soldiers from Boston would come up to Nova Scotia, Canada, which is where my relatives landed, and there's a fort there. And they'd come up and they'd fight and kill everybody, and then they'd go back to Boston. And when my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather arrived, what they did at that fort, there's about 300 of them that came off the boat, and they were the first 300 survived, because the rest of them were kind of all killed off. And what he did was he made a deal with the local natives and said, hey, you can be on our team, kind of like the Montreal Canadian hockey team, right? He said, you can be on our team, and you can, if you're on our team, we'll go beat up the British in Boston, and we'll trade together and do all that stuff. So the natives said, yeah, what a great deal. I'm sure that's exactly how they talked. Anyway, they said, yeah, what a great deal. We'll do that, and then we'll share, we'll trade with each other and all that stuff, and we'll give you beaver pelts, and you'll give us guns and technology or whatever. Not sure what they traded back then. But anyway, so they did that. They teamed up, and that prevented the British from attacking my great grandfather anymore, because they were a little bit more fearful of coming up the coast and going to Nova Scotia and kicking some butt, as they say, right? And so that's why he survived, and that's why I'm here today. Now, there's a whole other story about my other side of my family, which is Swiss, and that's why I repair watches, I'm sure. And the Swiss side, I think the Swiss side was a whole other deal. So I'm not going to put this in, even though people say that you can put the pallet fork in and the shellac that holds the jewels in there won't be affected. I'm going to just closely clean this myself with a brush and with some Rodico and with pithwood, and I won't put that in for the bath because I am very nervous about cleaning anything that's got, like, I don't like cleaning anything with shellac on it with this lighter fluid. Even the genius called Old Hippie on the Tapatalk watch repair blog, and I think Mark as well also said there's no concern with using the lighter fluid and it affecting the shellac. Lighter fluid is such an abrasive for grease and stuff like that. I got to do some more chemical engineering on that before I believe it. So I know I can hand clean it without the lighter fluid, so I'm not going to just take a chance here and do that, because that would piss me off if I had to put the fork jewels back in. Even though I can do that, it's just another job, right? So it's just not a jobber's job, watchmaker's jobber job. Jobber job. That sounds like Star Wars. A jabber job. See how entertaining this video is? I'm like, oh my god, don't turn it off. This guy's got all kinds of advice. So I'll give you some COVID-19 advice, okay? So first of all, wear a mask when you're out, period. Whether you think you need it or not, it does prevent the spread, because if you got it and you sneeze or cough, then the person next to you won't get it, because that sneeze or cough won't go as far. It will not transmit as far. You just have to watch Mythbusters, and Mythbusters did a session on spread of colds, not necessarily viruses, but spread of colds, and it made sense. Everything they said made sense. Now, should I go against my policy and clean the mainspring? Like, oh man, do I want to do this? No, I think I'll do this separately. Use one dip or something like that, right? So anyway, alright, so I meant the hairspring there, by the way, not the mainspring. So, oh, I still have a cannon pinion in the bottom here going for a swim, so I want to make sure I take that out. So, but anyway, yeah, go watch Mythbusters, and I'll tell you all about spread of viruses. They said that if coughing into your arm actually does get 100% of the sneeze. So putting a tissue paper up gets probably about 60%, and 40% goes flying through the tissue paper, but still prevents it from going a far distance, right? This virus has a lot to do with the crowding in the farm industry of pigs and chickens, and it started in 1880 with the, or 1918 with the fever they had there, or the flu they had there, and that first, whatever you want to call it, pandemic or whatever, killed 50 million people on average. Might have been more. May have been more, but it was at least 50 million. And so you don't want that to happen again. But in 1990, there's crossover happening between the pigs and the chickens, and that crossover is causing these superflues that we're living with right now that are a big issue. This is kind of tight here. I don't want to break my screwdriver. Just try to find a screwdriver that fits, that is just big enough so I don't snap it. This is for the barrel. I'm going to take the cap off here, and this seems to be pretty tight. There we go. Everything can be taken off. Everything can be removed. Time for a swim. Oh, get in there. Get in the water. Actually, this mainspring looks super clean. This looks super duper clean. Super duper duper double duper clean. So there you go. The question is, I think I'll just oil it because it actually looks really clean. And again, it might be set or something else, but I'm risking breaking it, and I'm really chicken shit today. So what I'll do is I'll put oil on the top of this mainspring here after I clean the cap off. And I won't take the mainspring out because I just want to increase the amplitude here. And to do that properly, what I should do is buy a new mainspring. But I'm really just here to entertain you, not to make this watch work really well. So it's all about the entertainment. So maybe make the watch look good too in the meantime. So that's pretty clean there. I don't know, take the mainspring out or not. It's a pain in the ass. Or did I say ass? I didn't mean to say ass. Pain in the arse. That's super clean though. I'm looking in here. Usually you can see oil and greet and grap and group and poop and all that stuff in there. So it looks like there's none of that in there. So I don't know. Roll that mainspring out or leave it the way it is and oil it. Leave it the way it is and oil it. There's nothing wrong with it. See how clean that is? That's like, this is not a dirty mainspring, even the barrel and stuff. So how did that stay clean where everything else was dirty? Don't know. Anyway, I know if I take it apart, I got myself a job to clean that, and I just want to see what amplitude I get. I don't know if cleaning that's going to cause any difference in power as an engineer. I think if I put a bead of oil across the top, do the old 1, 2, 3 on the oil, and just oil the top of that mainspring just to get any movement. Does this break? Look at the size of that. I think I need some brand new oilers here because this oiler sucks. Now I know that oil will attract dust and dirt, but since this thing's been around for 150 years, I don't know if that's an issue or not. So let's just oil the top of that. That's good enough. But this oiler is broken, so I need to get a new oiler. I don't remember breaking that. Breaking it in maybe, but not breaking it. So that's that. Now I gotta usually clean the case here a bit. So anyway, that was my advice for COVID-19. So wear a mask. Staying home is tough. I guess when you're 20 it's tougher because you got your buddies and stuff, and if you're not married and you're going and you're trying to date or whatever they do nowadays, it's even tougher. I think kids just sit there in their phones and swipe back and forth to find their loved one. That's how people are getting together and dating now, which is, like, to me, nuts. We used to have to go to bars and meet a woman and dance with her and see if she liked you or not, and then try to avoid her friends. I think I'm just kidding. And then I was the type that would basically want to shake her hand at the door. So true gentleman, as I am now, as hopefully my wife would attest. And I would charm her with my humor. I wasn't making watches back then, but I was playing guitar, which is probably better for getting a girlfriend than watch repair. I'm just guessing here. Just guessing that you can't swoon somebody with watch repair skills. You can try, but I highly doubt it'll work. So my advice is to for young guys is to keep doing watch repair, but go learn how to play guitar. So that's my advice. Anyway, so just keep talking here, because I know you people are at home bored shitless. So, well, I use the S word. I shouldn't have said it. I think, look at all the dirt in there. That is the leftovers from cleaning. That's a lot of dirt, ladies and germs. So let me just drink this. Oh, yeah, there we go. That was good. I'll put this aside and not light a match. Put this away. Actually, I'll be using this later, but I'll put it away anyway in my nice little container. And now the trick is to peg out these holes here. I'm just seeing how much lighter fluid is left. I've got my little handy dandy pump here, so just clean that up a bit. And the lighter fluid doesn't, I've done this thing where you don't take the gears out, and you just wait long enough and the lighter fluid will evaporate. But this speeds it up a bit. And I know if I oil anything and then use lighter fluid, it ain't gonna work. So I'm almost done. I might take my mask off soon, because I don't really need it anymore, as long as I take this lighter fluid and put it somewhere where I'm not breathing it, right? Put it on the windowsill. There we go. It's up on the windowsill. Now I can demask. Here we go. Oh. There we go. Now I sound human again. Look at that. Look at the amplitude I'm getting on my voice, eh? That's pretty good. Wow. And I'm going to take this toothpick here and have a little look at some of the gummy stuff on the inside here. See that little gummy stuff there that just didn't want to come out? That can be removed with a toothpick. And get anything that's gummy in that area there. So, and we look on this side here. Just go around the rim here with a toothpick and see if I can pick anything out. Toothpick anything out. And where's my big thing here? So I'm going to pith out the holes. These holes are pithing me off. You're pithing me off. So there's hole. Start with a larger hole when you're using the pith wood. I may have to sharpen this up and then go to the next hole like that, and then the next hole like that. Now if you apply too much pressure, you're going to just push the jewel right out, and that won't be good. And I'm looking at these jewels as well right now, and they don't look too bad. They don't appear to have any cracks on them at all. So let me look at this one here and do the side. And you pith it out from the side that the pivot goes through. Get the big one first, like that, and then move yourself around. And again, I also use Rodico to make sure I get any little pieces of dirt or hairs or something like that. I was working on a watch a while ago, and it just somehow I lost all the amplitude on the damn thing. It was my wife's Squale diver, if you recall. I think I had made a video on that one too a long time ago. And I'm going to take this cap off after and then clean out that jewel. And my wife's Squale diver, and that dive watch was the amplitude. I couldn't figure out why the amplitude was so bad on it, because I had done all the right stuff to make that amplitude good, and it wasn't. So I was just using some Rodico here to make sure I get any leftover grease. Anyway, the amplitude was shitty on this Squale diver, and so I took the balance off and I looked under my microscope with it, and I saw this little tiny piece of fiber. Not sure if it was air or what, but it was a piece of fiber, and it was actually touching the hairspring as the thing went around, right, and causing the whole balance swing to go off, right? So it was terrible. Terrible, I tell you. And just get this here, and any of that. Get some Rodico in there to clean stuff up. This Rodico is like magic. It's magic Mike. It's magic stuff. Just totally magic. I love it. I'm like a fan, a big Rodico fan. There we go. Should be move my camera up a bit so I can get closer to the work and not be part of the exciting video that you're going to watch later and go, man, this is like a full-length movie of a guy just talking about crap. I need to tell you another joke. So this farmer is lost in the woods, and he runs into this other guy. And of course he's a Newfoundland farmer, right? And the guy says, "Are you okay?" And he says, "Well, not really. I've been lost for a while and I'm not sure what to do. And I'm just going to work on this corrosion here a little bit, see if I can get rid of this with my tweezers." Anyway, he said, "I'm lost, I don't know what to do." So the farmer said, "Oh, well, you can't stay in my house, but I got a barn you can stay in. And you can sleep overnight if that's okay with you." And the guy goes, "Well, Jesus buys, I'm really tired, so I'll take her." So he says, "Yeah." So he gets in the barn, and the next morning he wakes up, and the farmer comes over and says, "So how did it go?" And he says, "Well, you wouldn't believe it." He said, "I was talking to your cow, and he really likes it here. He gets milked all the time. He gets to go walk out in the fields. He just loves it here." And the farmer goes, "That's amazing." He said, I've never been able to talk to the cow." He goes, "Yeah, he just loves it here." I think that's enough. And he said, and he goes, "What else?" He goes, "Well, I had a word with the chicken too." He goes, "Really?" He goes, Yeah, I had a word with the chicken. And the chicken just loves it here too." He says he's a free-range chicken. He just gets to run around in the field all the time and do chicken stuff, and cluck and cluck. He says he's happy because you feed him all the time. He said, "This is one happy chicken." And he goes, "You're kidding." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Then I had a talk with the sheep." And the farmer goes, "That sheep's a liar." Anyway, I'm hoping you're really laughing hard right now, because that is a funny joke, okay? I don't care what anyone says. That is like top shelf funny. So whenever I'm going to watch out for these banking pins. Don't let these banking pins get bent when you're cleaning the watch, because you want to leave them where they are, because if you don't need to adjust them, then you don't need to adjust them. So this watch itself says that it's adjusted. I'm not sure to how many positions, but it's a nice pocket watch. I think it has 15 joules. It's old, and it's got 15 joules as opposed to 17. I think way back in the day, they didn't have 17 joules. They just had 15. So I'm going to put the cap back on here. So anyway, it's a very nice pocket watch. It's in mint condition. So I'm just making it minter. Minter. She's minter by. So is that all okay? Yeah, that's okay. That looks good. And line that up. Line up the holes. Line up the holes. There's the T on the mainspring. I've done a lot of mainspring work over the years too, and it's just it's no issue with mainspring work. It's just sometimes you got to tap these things down with I use my staking set here, and sometimes have to tap this down with a staking set, or you can hug it with your tweezers and just push in like that. See how well that works? Just take your tweezers and then push down on the cap like this, uniformly, as they say. Now I'm spinning it around and looking to see if there's any issues. It doesn't look like it. And then when this sits in the hole, it's going to need some oil right around the edges there, because that's where the friction is for this jobby do. So I'm going to take off my gloves right now, because they're killing me. But I use the red oil. I've done a video on the oiling too, so I put a little bit of oil on that. And then if I look on the other side, you can oil right around the rim where this thing turns, right, so that there's less friction between the what's it called there, the center arbor and the barrel itself. So it just reduces the friction around the arbor and the barrel. So I put a little more than I probably need, but just enough to make sure it runs smoothly. And I'm going to put it down. That oil will stay where it is, no problem. So, and I want to roll the gears in my Rodico. So these are the gears here. So I'll take the gears here, and I'll actually take the Rodico like this, and then roll the gears in the Rodico, and pick up any dirt or dust from those, and then look at them as you're doing it to see if there is anything in there, right, and that you might not like. And then I'm going to roll the pinion in the Rodico as well to see if it's picking up anything, and then push the pivots on both ends into the Rodico as well, get anything that's in there that you don't like again. And it almost looks like the repair had been done here because they had striked the plate down again in the middle, unless that's how it was made. Kind of looks like a repair might have been done on this thing. So anyway, I've done that, and then I'm going to look at I want to look at the pinions here because it looks like they got some interesting dirt in there or something, right? But you want to make sure these pinions are 100% clean. It takes no effort at all for the wheel. This would be the second wheel. So the third wheel would weave into, actually the mainspring barrel I think would be spinning this pinion or touching this pinion. So another thing I think I almost forgot was make sure that you roll the mainspring barrel leaves or gears, the teeth, in Rodico as well, so you can get any of the anything that's on the mainspring barrel will come out too. So I'm going to work on this for a while and shut up. Maybe come back a little later so the video doesn't. Someone said the videos are way too long. I think that was a while ago, but they're not long if you're on YouTube and you just press the go forward button, are they? Just because all you're doing there is going forward. So the videos all of a sudden shorten up. It's amazing. It's a thing called advancing the video. So I can put a 2-hour video on there and you can watch it for 5 minutes if you want. Then the 2-hour video becomes a 5-minute video. It's like amazing. It's like math. 2 hours minus 5 hours divided by 4 hours equals 6 hours. And the square root of 4 hours, and taking the cubic spline of the square root of 4 hours divided by let's say I'll use a derivative of the 6 hours, and then using the Maxwell's equations, another 4 hours, and Planck's constant, add that to it as well, because Planck, I wonder if Planck did yoga. You think that's where they got the Planck in yoga? Was from Planck? Was his name Frederick Planck or something? I can't remember, but he was a friend of Einstein's, because Planck and Einstein used to hang together when they were younger, and Planck thought, hey, I've got this constant I've been thinking about, and Einstein said, really? And he said, yeah, using of constants is relative. I'm going to pause for a second while you laugh. That's a really bad joke. No, there's no joke there at all. It's like I'm really trying. So I'm cleaning the feet on the escapement right now with the Rodico and just making sure there's no gum or dust or anything in there. So I'm doing a spectacular job, even though I'm probably leaving fingerprints. I just dipped the the cannon pinion looks like completely clean here. No issue with the cannon pinion. The cannon pinion, that cannon pinion's a liar. Get it? No? Okay, never mind. Forget it then. I'm getting sick of telling people jokes unless they appreciate them. So I'm cleaning the minute wheel right now, and the Rodico is actually taking a little bit of the gum off the edge of the minute wheel. So this, again, Rodico is watchmaker's best friend. This shit's good. I can use the S word, right? Because kids do that. Kids use the S word in school. So, in shul. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. That is good stuff. Is that clean? I think so. The minute wheel. I'm looking at the pinion and the minute wheel to make sure there's no dirt in there either, and it looks pretty clean. So that's good. This is good. This is the hour wheel here. Our wheel. Our wheel is better than your wheel. So again, wiping it with Rodico just to get rid of any leftovers. And this took a dive into the lighter fluid as well. I love using lighter fluid to clean with. And it is recommended, although people are using automatic like wash machines and stuff for doing their watches. They're using cleaning fluid. And this thing here is used to provide a separation between the hour wheel and the face of the watch, the crystal, or the face actually, the watch face, so that the separation is there, so you don't have any issues with the face pressing down on the center wheel and causing problems. So, and I gotta put a little bit of oil in these places here before I close her down, as they say. So again, the thick places require thicker oil, and the thin places require thinner oil. So I'm gonna oil some of these. I just put a little bit of oil on the gears, just a bit, and then it just transfers the oil from gear to gear. There's schools of thought saying don't do it, and other schools of thought saying to do it, but I do it. So it just reduces the amount of friction when you're oiling, and I put the red oil into the center wheel. So the whole, actually it's not jeweled in this watch, but, and as I move over, I see the jewels, and I know that the thicker ones, right, require thicker oil, and the thinner ones require thinner oil. But always clean your oil. I'm using the same oiler here, but probably shouldn't. But when I flip from one to the other, so just putting oil in these here, and like so. And I think I will also peg this out and put a little bit of oil, the red oil, along the post here to make that ride well. And then a little bit the oil I like to use for where the springs touch the gear is the yellow oil. And so just put a blob of that down here, and that'll just reduce some of that friction, and a little bit of that oil too, and I put that on inside there where the keyless mechanism is, and that way when I flip this open I get movement there, and yeah, there we go. And just put that on there so it rides up and down nicely, and it's doing that nicely now. So here we go. So that's oiled as much as I want to oil it. I could also flip this around, and where I'm not sure what this is called, the crown gear or whatever. I think the crown gear is the other gear actually on the other side. So, but I put a little bit of oil in that too to lessen the friction, and inside here as well, where the watch stem goes in. So that's that. And then I can put the gears back in. If I recall correctly, the first gear in the hole is this gear here. Now I may have to change movement holders because this little rubber thing, is that working? Yeah, it is actually. So there seems to be enough space in there for this suction cup holding device, the SCHD, to work. So if I look at my old picture, right, let me look at my picture. Look at the photo and just look at how this stuff is set together. And so the wheels that go in, the order they go in, so the lowest wheel is yonder. I got to put in this wheel for the second hand, right? This wheel goes in before the other wheel and then the other wheel. So actually that goes pivot up and the other one goes pivot down. So yeah, so this wheel goes in next, and that's the 1, 2, 3, 4th wheel, and that goes in 90 degrees because this is a hunter. It's going 90 degrees, and then this wheel goes in and it's going gear down, hoping all this works properly. So it's going in gear down like so, and I'm trying to make sure it finds the hole here. So I just saw someone call me from work wanting something, so I better call work back soon, my friends. And then this gear here, this is the escapement, and this goes gear down because it's driven by the 4th wheel. So this is gear down, gear down, gear down, and that's the escapement. I didn't pithwood out the pivot holes, but I did Rodico them, so I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem, because Rodicoing the crap out of them should be good enough. Let me look at this. This looks like it's got some hair or something on the end of it. Just hang on a second here. Just Rodico this out again here. Unless I didn't. I know I did this one already. Maybe I didn't do the holes on it. So anyway, should I talk using my golf voice or not? That's the question. I'm making this video and it's going to be super long. And this is to entertain you while you're stuck at home doing your COVID-19 super duper hiding against other humans, because humans are dangerous. And now the last thing you got to put in is this baby here. So here's the trick, okay, that I've figured out. So let me just Rodico the ends here. So get that nice and Rodicoed. So I'm Rodicoing the pivots here. And you definitely don't want the pivots to break on this, because you're going to have a whole other problem. And then I'm going to hold this carefully, and so I don't mess up the jewels, and Rodico the opening where the mouth goes in. And I've got a dagger here that's for lining up the when the impulse jewel comes through here and the roller table, and this just prevents it from overbanking. So, and as I look at this jobby doohickey thing, I got to make sure the jewels here are clean, and I'll show you my favorite technique for doing this. So that's all good there. So now here's a trick. So this is going to go on the watch once I have the mainspring in place, which I should put down right now, but this is going to go on like so, like that, right? This is going to be inside, and I got to flip it around this way, but it's going to be like this, and it's going to fit through the hole right here and into the jewel hole right here between the banking pins. Well, if you put this down here in the watch and then try to slide this in sideways to do all that crap, it doesn't work. Trust me, it does not work. So what you need to do is you take, I should zero it, this is a great tip, by the way. This tip alone should make you watch this video. So let me show you how this is done. So you take this, just zoom in here. This is zoomable. This tip is zoomable. So let me just zoom in here like this. There we go. So take a very small piece of Rodico, like so, and you just need a small piece, and then roll it into a circle like that, right? So you got your little piece of Rodico rolled into a circle, or a tube, a little tube, right? Then you take I want to go say, oh, you bored of Jesus. You got to make sure what's upside down and what's not upside down. So if I look at this and I put it in, it should go in like so, it should go in with the small side down into this jewel hole here, because you know that the escapement's on the other side, and there's the opening for this is right here, right? So this should go in right here, just like that. There it is in the jewel hole sitting there, right? But that won't stay in place when you flip it around and try to stick it on top of this here. So what I do, I figured this out, right, is I take a small piece of Rodico, and see if I got to get in close here for this to do this properly, but take a small piece of Rodico and I take this and I push it down onto the plate like that on one side and then the other side, right? And then I use my tweezers to flatten it on both sides like this. So I'm flattening it on this side, and so it's out of the way of any gear here on this side. And then I flatten it as much as I can on the other side, so it's also not interfering with the gear on this side as well, because it's sort of flat, right? So I'm trying to, actually, you know what? It's going to interfere with this, so I got to watch that. But let me just, I lied, because it will interfere with that unless it's thinner. So I may have to move it over. I'm going to move it over. So I was trying to remember what I normally do here, but I think I have to move it over where the banking pins are. And so it's out of the way, because you want it, definitely want it out of the way. But what you want to do is just hold the, get that piece. I don't need the big piece like that. You just want to hold the pallet fork in place. That's all you want to do. That's all you're trying to do here, is hold that pallet fork in place. So all you need is a little tiny bit of Rodico here to do that. And then once you got it in there like that, so there I got it there, just got it on the back end of the balance of the pallet fork. Then look at it from the side, right? And make sure that it's flat, because it won't find the pivot won't find the hole on the top. So just push down on it just a bit, and that sort of flattens it out a bit and keeps it in and keeps it flat. So there we go there. It's flat enough, and it's sitting there, right, like that. So now, this is the part I hate. The part I hate. So this is where luck and everything else comes into play. And what I'm going to do is turn this around very carefully. Again, I'm looking at this pallet fork to make sure it's as flat as possible, right? And I'm going to adjust my camera in a second so you can see this. So let me just back this off a bit. There we go. So there it is there, and then the pallet fork is in that upper jewel. And then you just grab the barrel, because if I don't have the barrel in place, then I just wasted my time here. So let me grab this barrel, and the barrel goes in square end down, because it feeds into this part here. So let me just put that barrel in place. And I don't know if that barrel's in there or not, but it feels like it's in. It might not be. Let me look at the barrel again here so I don't screw this up. Just because the barrel might sit in there but not go into the square hole. Let me look at that again. The square hole, there's the angle. Look at the angle of the barrel, of the square on the end of the arbor of the barrel. Try to line those two up when you put the barrel down, and then drop the barrel down as good as you can. Try to find the hole right now. Where are you? Where are you? Come out wherever you are. Look at that again here. So there's the square part. There's the square part there, and it's relatively lined up. And then make it go down and find that stupid hole. I think if I take my glasses or go back a bit, that's easier. It's in with the leaves. Come on, where's the stupid hole? Where is the barrel hole? Looking for the barrel hole, ladies and gentlemen. Look underneath. Line it up underneath. somewhere in there. How come I can't find it? I'm not over enough. That was the problem. There it is. There's the barrel hole, and I'm hoping that barrel is in place. Hope is okay, I guess, today. So there we go. That barrel's in place there. And now I put this on, and I've got this the pallet fork in this position here, and spin it around. And I'm just going to pray that everything kind of fits in right. So, and make sure it goes down like the Apollo 11 with the lunar landing. So just line the holes up for the pegs on the bottom plate to the pegs on the top plate, and then let it sit down. And I'm hoping, praying. So it's not sitting right now. So something is causing it to be misaligned. And so here's what you do here. This is the hard part. So you got to touch the pivots. I use this tool here, and you just play with the pivots. I look at it sideways until they all fit into the jewels. So I'm going to pause to do that because that's terrible to have to watch me do that. All right, once you think you have it close to being in, and I'm talking close to being in, then what you do is put these screws in and tighten them up very loosely, right? So it's kind of backwards. Tighten loosely. So you put them in like that, and then you tighten this up like this, but don't tighten it a lot, just not even snug. Just kind of sitting in place, because you don't want to bend a pivot, because what you need to do next is check every hole and make sure the pivot, every jewel hole, and make sure that you see the pivot come through the other end. Because if you don't do that and you tighten these plates up, these screws up, it can be a disaster. You will break a pivot, and like I said before, you're into a whole new, then you're into pivoting. Then I got to do a video on pivoting, and I think I did a video on pivoting before. I don't do pivoting very often, but when I do, man, is it fun, right? I'm trying to make sure I put the screws all in the right holes here, so because I know that the plate has to go on as well. So I already oiled that. So when the plate goes on, it goes over one of the screws. So I just want to make sure I don't screw this up. So it's this screw and this screw for the plate, I believe. I thought I unscrewed those separately though. What the heck? Yeah, so this screw and this screw for the main plate, right? And then these screws, and look down here. Yeah, so that's the main plate. So I can take this plate off here, because you don't want it on until you make sure everything else is working perfectly, right? Because you can slide the mainspring out again, right? And of course it's stuck, so I just take it and reg it off. Don't force parts, never force parts. There we go. Now it's sort of off. There we go. So I'm going to take that third screw and put it over this here. I can't remember one of them needs to be thinner than the other, so if I think this one and this one are reversed, because I want to be able to screw this thing down, and the plate has to go over the top of it, so you don't want, that's why these screws are a different top color, cover, whatever, than the other screw. So because this one has to go over here and be screwed down in there, and the other one goes over the top. So see how quiet I've gotten? I need to liven up this video. Liven it up, baby. Liven it up. I need to bring in the elephants and clowns and trapeze artists and all kinds of entertainment that's much more entertaining than watching me do this, right? So that's that. Now let me have a look. I'm going to look at the pivots on the other side to make sure I don't have a pivot issue here. So I'm looking at every jewel hole. Spring almost fell out, or the mainspring, to see if I've got the pivot coming through the hole. So I think I'm good. So I think I'm good. I believe I am good. And I look at this here, and everything's sitting down nicely. Yes, no, maybe. This one here looks like it's risen up a bit, but is there a jewel? Is there a problem here at all? Let me see. I see the pivot holes. I see that. I see this. I see that. So, and there it goes. So they're all in place. Now I'm going to snug them in again, right? And now I just have to make sure that you put the watch down on my famous rubber holder, and I'm going to give this a little bit of a, make sure these screws are in tight. There we go. That's good there. And that's good there. Now I'm absolutely confident that those things are there. Now what I want to do is, well, I'll just make sure this is in place, and then I can't forget to take the rodico out that I used to guide that in. So there the mainspring just fell down into place, and I'll take this here plate that goes over top of the mainspring and put that in place. Is that fitting or what? There we go. That's in place, and I don't think I forgot anything yet. So, God, you put everything together and you forget to do something. I forgot to do the kerfuffle valve whatever, right? Screw that down nice and tight, because you don't want this to be loose. The plate, there should be enough side shake on the center arbor of the mainspring barrel to not cause any significant friction issues against the barrel. So that's in place. So now I've got the movement pretty much together, right? And what I want to do is take the rodico out of the metal, because the rodico is just still sitting there on the bank on the inside. So if you just look inside here, you can see the rodico right there, and just grab that and strip it out, and there it is there. So that was used to hold the pallet fork in place. So there we go. So it's all in place now. Now I got to put the so I'm gonna let me think. Yeah, I'll put this in down first. So put the minute wheel down, and that's in position, and then take the cannon pinion, and I think this was loose enough for me just to push down right before, so I pulled it up without an issue. So what I do when I put the cannon pinion down too is sometimes I use I go straight down with a stake from the staking set that covers this, so it puts uniform pressure on it. But what I do is make sure the gears look straight down, and make sure these gears line up with these gears in an opening, so you don't push a gear down on top of another gear and cause other issues. So you just move it around a bit until it's lined up, and then push it in place just like I did, right? So that's perfectly lined up there, and the gear's in place. Then you can put the minute wheel gear on top of that, and I don't usually oil this one here, or the hour gear rather. I don't usually oil this, but again, it's got to be meshed in with the pinion of the minute gear. And then you put the leaf up, and the leaf always goes with like a U in the middle. And then you got that, and now I just have to put the face down. And if I look, I have to look where the second hand is to make sure I don't crush the pivot for the second hand. It's right there. The second hand is right there. So I just have to line that second hand up, and then everything else should fall in place, right? There we go, and it did. So that's in place there, and just going to look down on that hole to make sure the second hand is showing itself, because I don't want to squish anything. And then I also have to grab, because this is a, I use this, can I? This is a lever set pocket watch. I have to actually grab the lever and make sure it's out of the way. So just grab that lever like that and then push the face down. So that's in place there. I'll clean up the face later, but I want to keep my finger down on that to give it a little bit of pressure while I tighten the screws that will tighten the face on by the whatever I called them earlier, the pegs that are in the back of the screw of the face. So the okay, I can't remember the names of them. You have to remember the name of everything when you're making a video, I guess. So someone said to use proper names. Don't fart around. You know, always use proper names. So there we go. So that's all in place. So now I want to make sure this thing actually works. So I can grab a winding, the bench key here, and this is all looking good. So I'm going to wind it up and see what happens. So I just put that in like that and then turn it. And I'm not sure what the result's going to be yet, but let's just turn this and give it enough turns here so everything is nice and kosher. There we go. That's a good enough wind. Now all I need to do is touch the pallet fork, and if it swings to the other side, snaps to the other side, then I've got, yeah, and it's snapping the other side against the banking pins, and so it's got power. So now the watch has got power. It's working. I'm going to turn it around for a second. Just use the Rodico to clean the face up a bit, because the minute I drop that mainspring down, or sorry, when I drop the balance down, and when you're cleaning this up with Rodico, the second hand pinion, which is in the fourth wheel, avoid it. You don't want to bend that, like I said, because you can screw your pocket watch up big time by bending that. And if you have I just looked at it and it's below the face, which is good, so I don't have an issue there. So I can go around the corner. This is the time you want to clean it up, because you don't have the hands on the watch, so it's perfect, right? And you can clean all the way around where the minute hand is and all that kind of stuff, right? And I'm trying to think of anything else I had to do with this watch before I reassemble it and try it out. So I need to put the balance on, and it'll start ticking when I put the balance on. So let me try that out. Now, one thing I didn't do, but I can do it, like I said, do it later, is I can plunge that mainspring, the balance, the spring for the balance, I can plunge that any time into some liquid of some sort to clean it. So I'm going to turn this around with my hands like that, and then make sure the pallet fork is on. I want it to be on this side. So when I grab the balance like so, and keep it close to the ground so I don't drop it and screw everything up, I'll enter the pallet fork with the impulse jewel from the left hand side, and then do this so that it comes around. So again, I'm not sure if this will improve the amplitude of this watch at all, but it was a good shot. So it's ticking, so that's excellent. Let me just put this in here, because now when you put the balance in, right, you have got to make sure that the pivots are in the jewel holes. So one thing I didn't do is oil the bottom jewel hole. So I should, well, I was going to take that apart, wasn't I? I guess I can do that later, but I did want to take that apart. Well, I missed a few things here. I want to put a little bit of oil on the pallet forks. So there's some oil I use here that is where do I have that? It's up here. So I use this oil here, and this is the oil I use, the 9415 on the stones for the pallet fork, and then lightly oil the bottom jewel. But I do want to take that apart, so I just wanted to see if I'm getting better amplitude by cleaning all the rest of this stuff up. Because I think I'm just going to do that in the video, and then it'll fart with the jewels later. So there we go. So I'm just gonna, I gotta play with this to make sure I don't screw it up. I want to make sure that the pallet, the holes, or the pivots for the balance are in the holes, and I don't have yet another issue, right? Like that. I know this thing is touchy as hell from the last time I did work on it. So I know that I've played with this a million times to make sure it's running. Alright, so that's in there like that. Yeah, I definitely have to oil this thing because it needs some work. I also have to oil the top here too as well. So I'll leave it like that because it's a cleaning exercise, and I showed you before how all that works. It's working, but obviously I need to oil that, and I need to put some of this oil in the stones so there's less friction there, and see if that improves the amplitude. And I know that it works upside down, no problemo. So I need to take that face off again and take those. I'm good with this one here because I oiled that, and I'm good with the top one. The bottom one, though, I needed to remove that and then oil that properly so it works properly. So it's, but I don't want to have this video run for 15 hours. So I think I'll end it there. Reassembling the watch in the case or putting the hands back on is no big deal. That's minor work as far as I'm concerned. But I think I need to disassemble that the jewel. Damn, I hate doing this not on video, right? So I don't want to say bye with a piss poor amplitude. So, because I did all the other work perfectly. So I just grab this, like I said before, when I take this off, I like grab it and then have my finger on the top. That way I don't have any issues. And then flip that over like that, and then place it down so it doesn't get in trouble. And do I cheat and just put some oil on the bottom, or do I not cheat? And for now I'll just cheat. It's the second time you saw me cheat, right? So just put a little bit of oil on the bottom here. It's for the lower pivot. And then put the cap down on that, and then this oil here. This works like, it's incredible. You usually can get some better amplitude by putting this oil on, but I've got to kind of get inside where those stones are here. And where are those stones? And get in the light, and then I want to put this oil on. I know I can transfer it by just placing it on the feet of the escapement, and it'll transfer to the stones. So that's one way of doing it. So I'll do it that way because I can't get to the stones this way. I should have done it before I put the cap on, or put the top on. So that's doing it that way, and then so that's on there, and it'll run sluggishly for a little while, and then it'll pick up amplitude after. So let me do what I did before. Grab that, make sure that the pallet fork is on the correct side here to enter it, and then grab the balance. And again, I made the balance staff for this, so I think the bottom part of the balance staff is not as good as the top part of the balance staff. So I think it's not as conic in nature, and it's already picking up there. So I think the cone for the bottom part, I wasn't as impressed with what I did with that, but I didn't want to have to redo yet another balance staff because I said I did one already, but I made the big mistake in balance staffs, and that is cutting it and trimming it too short because I had it the right size, and then I shortened it after, so which was a stupid thing to do. So this is a finicky balance as balances go. This is like the finickiest balance I've ever had to work on. I kind of have to press the back here to make it go, and I know that I bent the see, just screw this down tight. I think that's pretty tight there. There we go. So that's running a little bit better, and I got to demagnetize it as well and get it working. Give it some time to just rattle on the bench and work itself in. And I do want to take the face off and take that that jewel off and then work on that jewel. I can do that with the balance on without a problem, so I should be able to oil it and clean it like that without a problem. So it's already sounding nicer, actually. I'm listening to it right now and it's sounding pretty solid. Just need to lubricate those jewels, get things sliding properly. That's much better. So then I got to look at this this cover here that I said, and I'm just going to wipe it down with the Rodico and see if I can. Not sure if there's any. Yeah, that cleaned it up nicely. So just keep letting this thing tick as it works itself in, because I think it's going to take a little while to work itself in. Yeah, there's some comments I could make here. Like I could have taken the mainspring apart, but it seemed like it had enough power and it was clean. Probably need to do some work on that bottom jewel there. There's no doubt that if I were to do some work on the bottom jewel, I might get better performance. The other thing is, the thing I don't want to do, but I might do, is just make yet another balance staff for this watch. I'm like, oh my god. But I do have another watch I want to work on. That's a small, thin Hamilton. Where is it? The other watch I have. And it requires, it's this one here, and it is an Illinois pocket watch. It works, but the amplitude's shitty, so I was going to look at that and see if I could make that get that amplitude working better. I think I cleaned it, so it's got to be a jewel balance thing happening again, right? So just keep moving that around. Keep moving that around. Let it work in. And then demagnetize the damn thing too, because that might be a problem. So I got the cover on it. I'll just place it in here now. It's got to go the other way, so it goes upside down. Should put the hands on first, but maybe not. I think I'll put this in first and then put the hands on. So too bad for you people that think I should be doing the hands first. I'm not. Turn that around. It fits in nicely, actually. There's no additional issues here. I think that's about as much wind as I want on this thing. So just put these case screws in. See how that just jumped out? And then after a while you get the ability to turn the screwdriver around with a screw in it and with the smallest part in it, and it doesn't, you don't lose the part, so it's a tactile feel thing, and it just seems like a tactile feel thing anyway, and I've gotten good at it. So let me show you, let me demonstrate and see if I can do this. So you take this, turn it around like that. So I'm turning this in circles, and I don't seem to lose grip on the screw at any time when I'm doing that. So, and that's just a practice thing. So balance is still working, and like I told you before, I made that balance out of my lathe. So that alone is a great feat, as they say, right? Let me just press that down for a second and look at it upside down. Yeah, it actually runs nicely upside down as well, and I'll show you in a second. So if I set the hands, turn that, and make sure that the gears work, and then put that down. I'm going to put this watch, I'm going to put the back on a bit here, just so I can put the hands on and not have to worry about this thing moving around. Like that. And then the hand pushers, use the hand pushers here. And I don't put the second hand, I put the second on last. So I want to put this on first. That's the hour hand. And I'm putting it on under duress. You guys are watching me, so use the red one, which is the wide one, and just line it up here, and then make sure it's as close to 12 o'clock as possible, but you can always adjust the minute hand just slightly if this is off, right? So that's as close to 12 as possible, or is it? A little pegwood here on the hand, and just push it over again. Just a bit. You don't want the hand to bend. So if you're going to push it over, make sure it's not already down, right? So is that down now? It's down maybe as far as it'll go. It feels like it should be able to go down further. There we go. So it's down pretty much all the way. Yeah, it's down all the way. And then you can open that up and adjust this hand so it's at 12 o'clock, like that. Right, so adjust that because it might have moved by the time you started putting the other hand on. And now, and then grab this hand here, and this has a square. I didn't notice that before. What the hell's that all about? Why is that square? And why didn't I notice it was square before? We have to look at this a little closer, folks. But there it is in place, square and all. So that's in place. Let me have a look at that again. Make sure that's as down as far as it should be. That is square. That is weird. I actually don't remember seeing that before. Now once you've pushed it down, you look at the back of that as well. Look at from the back to make sure you don't have an angle there and you've got enough room, like freedom, between the hands there, so you don't have. So here we go. That's 12 o'clock, right on the money, ladies and germs. And then push that in, the hour setting, and let's see if this is working, right? See if I'm full of crap. So what I do here is I usually put this down and then I push it a bit with my screwdriver. Before I put that in, though, I want to just wipe it a bit with some Rodico right here again. Just clean that up nicely. So get rid of any fingerprints, fingy prints. Stay away from the hands when you're doing this because you will ruin the hands. And then take this hand here. Make sure there's no hairs or anything else on this hand too, because I've done work before and there's been the tiniest of hairs. There we go, look at that. Tickety tick tick, Jay. Tickety tick, ladies and gentlemen. Tickety tick. So it's working, upside down, right side up, everything else. And let me take a cleaning cloth here quickly, and it's not my best cleaning cloth, but I'll clean the top of that a bit, clean the inside just a tad, and make sure you get rid of anything that's like that, and then get your dust blower out, blow any dust off of it like this, and then blow dust off of this here. And you really don't need to put any oil on the thing here. But the crystal on this is amazingly thick. And put that in like that. There we go, cleaned. So that is a completely clean pocket watch. I know I did a few shortcuts there, but I didn't want the video to be 5 hours long. So that's completely clean and reassembled, and it's working on both sides, and the amplitude is a bit better, although I think it'll get better as it runs overnight, wears itself in. I also think that I need to clean that jewel on the bottom, and that'll get rid of some of the resistance that might be there with a dirty cap jewel on there too. So I could do that after, though. I'm tired right now. So that's it. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's a bit long. It's going to be like 2 hours or something. So I'm going to process the thing now and see what it looks like. That's a beautiful American Waltham pocket watch that I worked on and gave you all the steps and some hints and tips and all that kind of crap. And there we go. What time is it right now? It is, Mr. Bear, it is 9 minutes to 2. 9 minutes to 2. So let's just pretend I'm setting it. Try not to hit the hands with the top of the watch. 9 minutes to 2. So there's 2. So 9 minutes to 2. Use my thumb to push that in, like that, at an angle. Put that back on. Turn that like that. And ready for prime time. Ready for prime time.